Hey guys, how you doing? It's Sam from Gemini, and today we're going to be talking about anti-Semitic martial artists. Booyah! Hey, welcome back to the channel, and we always like to start off with a nice positive, so hope you're doing well. Summer has gone, the skies are getting darker and nights getting longer, but let's not get depressed. So this video, we're going to be talking about anti-Semitism within martial arts. And what inspired me to make this video actually was just watching the news, really, and the conflict going on in the Near East. And we're not here to debate whether you side with one side or another, but what we are here to discuss is just a mentality which I have noticed and observed since this conflict has escalated, this current conflict, since October the 7th. And quite recently, actually, I overheard somebody talking about martial arts as part of a bigger discussion that him and me and other people were involved in. And the comment this guy said was, "I don't want to learn Krav Maga because it's from Israel." Now, that got me thinking, and I have trained with some other people before in the past who have very similar mentalities. They don't necessarily want to train Krav Maga because it's Israeli. Now, what's interesting here is that they're not saying, "I don't want to train Krav Maga because I don't believe it's practical. I don't necessarily just like the movements of it. I tried it before, it just didn't really suit me," which are very physiological reasons. It's not that. It's based on a political mindset of somebody not wanting to practice Krav Maga because it's Israeli. Now, if I was to say something similar, like, "I don't want to practice karate because it's Japanese," that will stop conversations. People will look at me and be like, "Wait a second, what have you got against Japan? Do you have something against Japanese people? What exactly is it that you are finding training in karate so abhorrent that that you don't want to practice it because it's from Japan?" Most people would look at that and think that's a very stupid reason to not do martial art. "I don't want to do Savate because it's French. I don't want to do Hapkido because it's from Korea. I don't want to do Muay Thai because it's from Thailand," so on and so forth. "I don't want to do Capoeira because it's Brazilian." And if I said this, "I don't want to do a martial art from a certain country, and my reason behind it was because it's from that specific country," people would look at me as if I'm a bit of a whack job. They'll be like, "Well, one, that's not a good enough reason to not do a martial art." I mean, if you look at it from a practical perspective as well, at the end of the day, a kick's a kick, a punch is a punch, and that was told to me by a Thai boxing instructor. It doesn't matter what style you do. You're going to punch somebody, you're going to punch somebody, you're going to kick somebody, you're going to kick somebody. You shouldn't not do that in a self-defense situation, a sparring situation, competition, because you're doing a technique from a certain country. "Oh, I could roundhouse kick you in the head, but I don't want to do that because it's from taekwondo, which is from South Korea, and I don't like South Korea." It doesn't work like that. But then also, people would look at me and think, "Well, your reasoning, you don't want to do a martial art because it's from a certain country. In this case, you don't want to do Krav Maga because it's from Israel." People could look at that and think that actually that's racist, which it is racist at the core of it. And it says more, I believe, about the person saying it than it does about the style itself. And I went away from this conversation. I thought about it. It's like, you know what? In some lessons I've done, I've taught techniques from certain styles, and I've not actually told the students I'm teaching what style I've been teaching them. I went to a taekwondo school once. A friend of mine asked if I wanted to run their school for a lesson, which I did. And I taught a technique from ITF. This is a WT taekwondo school. I taught a technique from ITF. I taught a technique from Kyokushin, and I taught a technique from BJJ. And I didn't actually tell any of the students what these techniques were, or what styles they're from, or by association what country they're from. I didn't necessarily see the point in telling them that. I was just there to teach them the technical aspects. And nobody batted any eyelids about it. Nobody was like, oh, where's this from? And I don't want to practice it because it's from a certain place. There was none of that. So I feel that if I was to teach somebody Krav Maga, I wouldn't tell them it's Krav Maga. I'd teach them the techniques, I'd teach them what needs to be done. And if somebody was to come up to me and ask me, what is this? Yeah, I'd say, this can be found in Krav Maga. But I wouldn't go out and say where it's from, because I wouldn't necessarily want that prejudice. Or I wouldn't want people kind of then developing a prejudiced opinion or choosing not to train in something purely because it's from Israel. With that being said, people could look at me and say, okay, well, why have you chosen Krav Maga and why have you chosen Israel when I've just mentioned these other martial arts from different countries across the world? Fair point. However, I've never heard anybody say, I don't want to train Kyokushin because it's from Japan. But if you want to get specific there, Kyokushin was actually established and founded by a South Korean who went to Japan and who then adopted a Japanese name, Mazoyama. But if you want to get real kind of like nitty gritty about it, you could say, actually, it's not even a Japanese martial art, it's from South Korea. If you want to go down that kind of line of thinking. I've never heard anybody say, I don't want to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because it's from Brazil. Never heard anybody say, I don't want to do, again, like styles of Kung Fu because they're from China. And yet, I've heard that conversation which I described at the beginning, an individual saying they don't want to do Krav Maga because it's from Israel. Knowing other people that I've trained with in my past who, by default, don't like Krav Maga purely because it's from Israel. If Krav Maga had come from any other country, they'd have had no issue doing it. Yeah, fine, I'll do Krav Maga. It's a really effective style. It's Israeli. Oh, I don't want to do it now. It just seems to be this Israel stigma, which people appear to have. We could debate about this for political ins and outs. We're not going to. What we are here just to discuss, though, is just about why somebody would allow their political opinions, their opinions and feelings about race, to then intrude into their martial arts training, to then influence the direction they want to take their martial arts. You know, if you're in a self-defense situation, you're trying to like defend yourself from a mugger on the street. I'm sure style and country won't come into your mindset then. You'll just be like, right, I'm being attacked. What do I need to do to defend myself? You shouldn't have to stand there and think, well, I could do this really effective technique and save myself, save life and limb, but I'm not going to do that because it's from a martial art which is from Israel, and I don't agree with Israel, so I'm not going to do it. That should not have any place in martial arts. So it's irrespective. If Krav Maga is from Israel, so be it. It's from Israel. Just get over it. If it's not from Israel, likewise. It doesn't matter where it's from. If it works for you, do it. Political opinions, thoughts and beliefs, whether they're core beliefs or whether they're superficial on the surface, conscious thoughts, shouldn't have any bearing on your martial arts training and what you choose to train in. If the instructor's good, if what they're teaching is good, if it could possibly work in the street, it shouldn't really matter what style it is, where it's from. You should do it. Thank you for watching. If you've got thoughts and feelings, borderline controversial topic, comment section is there. It's not there for decoration. Let's get a debate. Booyah.